Good day everyone, my name is Ronica Aurel and I'm going to discuss Rule 3, the Rule on Summary Procedure for Civil Cases, Sections 1 to 7. Section 1, Pleadings and Verification. The only pleadings allowed to be filed are the complaint, compulsory counterclaim, cross-claim pleaded in the answer, and reply as provided in Section 8 of this rule. All pleadings shall be verified. Section 1 is specifically enumerated the only pleadings allowed to be filed. These are complaint, compulsory counterclaim, cross-claim, pleaded in the answer, reply as provided in Section 8 of this rule. Please take note that the enumeration in Section 1 is very specific. There are no other pleadings that are allowed to be filed except those that are enumerated in Section 1. Section 2, Form and Contents of Pleading. All pleadings submitted under this rule shall comply with Rule 7 of the 2019 amendments to the 1997 Rules of Civil Procedure. Section 2 provides that the pleadings that will be submitted must comply with Rule 7 of the Rules of Court. Rule 7 is about the parts and contents of pleading, and they are in the caption, the body, signature and address, verification, certification against forum shopping, and contents. Question: what is the effect if the pleading filed is not compliant with Rule 7 of the Rules of Court? The answer: the complaint will be dismissed. Now let us take a look at this flowchart. The flowchart on Rule on Summary Procedure for Civil Cases illustrates that if the complaint is not compliant with Rule 7 of the Rules of Court, then the complaint will be dismissed. Paragraph 2, all cases requiring prior referral to barangay conciliation must contain a statement of compliance pursuant to Chapter 7, Title 1, Book 3 of Republic Act No. 7160. Where there is no showing of compliance with such requirement, the complaint shall be dismissed without prejudice on the court's own initiative or upon motion by the defendant, and may be refiled only after the requirement has been complied with. Again, looking at the flowchart, if the case filed requires compliance with RA 7160 and there is no showing of compliance with such requirement, then the complaint shall be dismissed without prejudice. However, please take note that the complaint may be refiled only after the requirement has been complied with. Section 3 provides us that the complaint shall state the following: A. The names of the affiants as judicial affidavits will be presented to prove the plaintiff's claim. The judicial affidavits shall be attached to the complaint and form an integral part thereof. Judicial affidavits not attached to the complaint shall not be considered. B. The summary of the statements in the judicial affidavits. C. The documentary and other object evidence in support of the allegations in the complaint. And D. Whether the plaintiff consents to service by electronic means or facsimile, and if so, the plaintiff's email addresses or facsimile numbers for such purpose. Section 4 is about summons. It provides that within 5 calendar days from receipt of a new civil case, if the court determines that the case falls under this rule, the court shall direct the branch clerk to issue summons to the defendant, stating clearly that the case shall be governed by the rule on summary procedure. Again, looking at the flowchart, if the complaint is compliant with the rules of court and RA 7160, there will be the issuance of summons to the defendant within 5 calendar days. Now, the second paragraph of Section 4 provides another ground for the dismissal of the complaint. It states that, however, if from an examination of the allegations in the initiatory pleading and such evidence as may be attached thereto, a ground for the outright dismissal of the case is apparent, the court may dismiss the case on its own initiative. These grounds include lack of subject matter jurisdiction, improper venue, lack of legal capacity to sue, litis pendentia, res judicata, prescription, failure to state a cause of action, non-submission of a certification against forum shopping, and lack of compliance with a condition precedent such as absence of barangay conciliation, among others. To summarize, the flowchart shows us the grounds for the dismissal of complaint laid down by the rule on summary procedure for civil cases. These are number 1, whether the complaint is compliant with Rule 7 of the Rules of Court. Number 2, whether it is compliant with RA 7160. Or number 3, whether it is compliant with Rule 3A, Section 4, Paragraph 2 of the Rule on Summary Procedure. Third paragraph of Section 4 provides that a patently erroneous determination to avoid the application of the Rule on Summary Procedure is a ground for disciplinary action. Section 5 is about filing and service. The rules on filing and service of pleadings under Rule 13 and service of summons under Rule 14 of the 2019 amendments to the 1997 Rules of Civil Procedure shall be applicable to cases under this rule unless inconsistent. Under Rule 13, filing is defined as the act of submitting the pleading or other paper to the court, whereas service is defined as the act of providing a party with a copy of the pleading or any other court submission. Again, looking at the flowchart, within 30 calendar days from the service of summons, the defendant shall file an answer to the complaint and serve a copy thereof on the plaintiff. Under Section 6, the answer shall state the following: A. The names of the affiants whose judicial affidavits will be presented to prove the defendant's allegation. The judicial affidavit shall be attached to the answer and form an integral part thereof. Judicial affidavits not attached to the answer shall not be considered. The summary of the statements in the judicial affidavits, the documentary and other object evidence in support of the allegations in the answer, and whether the defendant consents to service by electronic means or facsimile, and if so, the defendant's email addresses or facsimile numbers for such purpose. Affirmative defenses not pleaded in the answer shall be deemed waived except for lack of jurisdiction over the subject matter, litis pendentia, res judicata, and prescription. Cross-claims and compulsory counterclaims not asserted in the answer shall be considered barred. Section 7. Counterclaims within the coverage of this rule. If at the time the action is commenced, the defendant possesses a claim against the plaintiff that A. is within the coverage of this rule exclusive of interest and cost, B. arises out of the same transaction or event that is the subject matter of the plaintiff's claim, C. does not require for its adjudication the joinder of third parties, and D. is not the subject of another pending action, the claim shall be filed as a counterclaim in the answer. Otherwise, the defendant shall be barred from suing on such counterclaim. The defendant may also elect to file a counterclaim against the plaintiff that does not arise out of the same transaction or occurrence, provided that the amount and nature thereof are within the coverage of this rule and the prescribed docket and other legal fees are paid. Any amount pleaded in a counterclaim in excess of 2 million pesos, excluding interest and cost, shall be deemed waived. To summarize my discussion, let us revisit again the flowchart on the rule of summary procedure for civil cases. Here, the complainant will file the complaint. After filing the complaint, the defendant may move to dismiss it if the complaint is not compliant with Rule 7, number 1, Rule 7 of the Rules of Court, number 2, RA 7160, and number 3, Rule 3A, Section 4 of the amended Rule of Summary Procedure. Now, if the complaint is compliant, then within 5 days from the receipt of the new civil case, the court shall direct the branch clerk to issue summons to the defendant. This is under Section 4. Service of summons will follow within 30 calendar days from the service of summons. The defendant shall file an answer to the complaint and serve a copy thereof on the plaintiff. Failure to file an answer, he will move the court to render its judgment. Okay, that ends my discussion. I hope you learned something from it. Thank you very much and Goodbye.